Hello and welcome to my guide for Huntsman's Copse. This video is meant to be comprehensive, so I'll be showing you how to get every item, find every secret, and all the possible NPC interactions. Starting off from Majula, you can head to Huntsman's Copse by going through this tunnel and taking the path on the left. If you don't have this path unlocked yet, then you'll need to find this NPC called Lycia. If you need more information on that, then check out my previous video on Hades Tower Flame. Right here at the beginning of the path, you'll find one item, a rogue water, but other than that, there's not much in this tunnel, so just run through as fast as possible. Near the exit, you'll find an NPC on the right. This guy's name is Falcon, and there are some good things you can get from him, but if you have less than 8 faith and 8 intelligence, he'll refuse to do anything with you. If you do meet those requirements, then you can talk to him and access his shop. He's got some pretty good things for magic builds, but no matter what kind of character you're playing as, I highly recommend you buy the Ring of Life Protection that he sells. Wearing this ring will both prevent hollowing and the loss of souls when dying, but it will break. You can repair it for 14,000 souls though, and it'll be as good as new. Anyway, the last thing to know about this guy is that if you talk to him while having at least 20 faith and 20 intelligence, then he'll give you his armor set and his staff, which are pretty good. Moving on, we can officially enter Huntsman's Copse and find the first bonfire. If you turn around, we can also find the first secret of the area, a hidden butterfly. There are 2 types of this butterfly enemy, the passive kind and the aggressive kind. This one is one of the passive ones, which will never attack you, do not respawn after you kill them once, and are often hidden in obscure locations. Every butterfly drops an item, and this one dropped an Old Radiant Lifegem. Continuing past the bonfire, you'll find 2 non-aggressive hollows near the entrance of this cave. Then there's one with a dagger, and another one coming from around the corner on the right. Up to the left, we can find the first aggressive type butterfly. This kind will emit poison dust when you get close to it, respawn like regular enemies, and the item they drop will always be a poison moss. As you can see, that item fell all the way down to the bottom of this room, but we will be going down there later, so as long as you don't die on the way, we can eventually pick up that item. On the other side of this room is a hollow with a torch, so take him out and then I'll show you the next hidden butterfly. So yeah, it's right here hanging on the right side of this walkway. I highly recommend you do not kill this one right now, because similar to the other butterfly we just saw, its item will fall all the way down to the bottom of this room, and if you die, the item will disappear and the butterfly will never respawn, so you'll lose this item forever. Because of that, it's best to kill the butterfly when you're already at the bottom of this room. Here we can see a pretty cool view of the Undead Purgatory, which we'll be heading to later on in this video. For now, head up the stairs on the right. An enemy will drop down here when you move far enough along this path, so be sure to bait him out instead of walking past and letting him ambush you from behind. Next, we're going to head into this building. It's a little bit dark in there, and there are quite a few enemies. There is a lower level that we can drop down to right here, but we will go there through another route, so I recommend saving it for later. You'll notice that when I'm in this room, I get hit many times by arrows. Those are coming from one enemy that's on the other side of this room. You can kill him with a range attack, but I just ignored him for now and tanked the damage. Also, there are 2 hollows hanging off the side of this walkway. They will climb up once you get close enough to them, so just be aware of that. By the way, you can destroy the wooden planks on these windows in order to light the room a little better. There's an enemy waiting to ambush you behind this door, so don't attempt to open it. Instead, just approach it and then back away. The enemy will break down the door and then you can kill him easily. There's another similar kind of enemy in this room, so take him out and then go outside. There's another hollow hanging off the ledge here, and just like the other ones, he will climb up once you approach him. The last enemy here is around the corner. Instead of approaching him head on, I just went onto this ladder, and that caused him to drop down. Then I missed the plunging attack, but that's okay. Once you kill him, you've cleared all the enemies in this section. Now we can light the next bonfire, which is in this room, and knock over this tree, which will act as a shortcut. It's not too useful, but you should knock it down just in case. Before moving on, we're going to climb back up the ladder because we can now reach an optional section of the area. I recommend not sitting at the bonfire, that way all the enemies we killed do not get respawned because we will be treading some similar ground. On the edge over here is an item, so pick that up. And if you did rest at the bonfire, then don't forget that last enemy spawns right behind this corner, so don't let him surprise you. Anyway, now we're going to drop down to this ledge, and the best way that I found to do this is to just run off the ledge like this without jumping or anything like that. After picking up the item that's here, we can just do the same thing again and run off the ledge onto the lower platform. Go through this tunnel, and then you'll end up in the lower part of the cave we were previously in. Up here on the left is the passive butterfly we saw from before. At the end of this path is an item, and on this side of the path is another aggressive type butterfly. Just like the other one, its item will fall all the way down, but we will be getting that pretty soon. Here is the passive one again. I will kill it this time. And then there's just one more aggressive butterfly on the other side of this room, right here. If you want to get the item from this one, you'll have to jump to the mushroom platform that it landed on. This jump might look difficult to do, but it's actually very easy, and there's a very large margin of error. Okay, so now we can finally reach the bottom of this room. There's a giant basilisk down here as well as a hollow with a torch, but don't get too intimidated because these guys should be pretty easy to take out. For the basilisk, I just stayed behind him, but the safest place would be either his left or right side. This basilisk will drop 3 large titanite shards every time you kill him, so honestly it wouldn't be that bad of an idea to go down here a couple of times to farm these. Anyway though, as you can see now, I'm just picking up all the items that were dropped by the butterflies. And then the last thing to do in this room is open this chest to get Ricard's rapier. You can leave this room by pressing the interaction key in front of this suspicious shape in the wall to open a path. Just go down this hallway and be sure not to miss the item on the right. Then you can step inside this cage, which is actually an elevator. After that, just go straight and then press the interaction key here again to open up this other doorway, which will actually take you back into the building that we were in before, just on the opposite side of it. As you can see, the guy that was shooting me with arrows a while ago is right here, and this other melee enemy is rushing towards me. There are also 2 hollows with daggers that are trying to kill me. For this last guy here, I tried to take advantage of my position by doing a plunging attack, but once again, I missed it. I always found it difficult to land plunging attacks in this game. Anyway, there's an item to pick up in this corner. It's the bandit's knife. There's another item to get down here, but you want to be careful because there's also 2 more hollows that will climb up from this hole and ambush you if you aren't paying attention. It might look like the only thing left in this room is this sconce, but there is actually a secret to find here. If you light your torch, you'll be able to see the shadow of an invisible hollow. As you can tell, only torchlight reveals these guys, not light from the sconce. Once you kill him, he'll drop a smooth and silky stone. Anyway, now climb up this ladder to reach the roof of this building. At first it looks like nobody's here, but once you walk far enough, 2 enemies will try to attack you. After killing them, drop down here, pick up this item, and then drop down again. Now we could just use the shortcut we unlocked to return to the bonfire. Alright, now we'll progress further into the area. As we saw earlier, this enemy will drop down, so anticipate that, take him out, and then move on in this direction. Right around this point, 2 hollows will notice you, one on the right, and another one coming from the bridge. You might be tempted to cross the bridge immediately after dealing with those guys, but there's actually an item and 1 more enemy here on the left, so don't miss that. On both sides of the bridge are hanging enemies. These guys cannot climb up, so they'll never attack you, and there's never really a reason to kill them. So you can just ignore these guys, but I just wanted to show them to you. On the other side of this bridge is a big, scary-looking enemy called an Artificial Undead. When he's charging at you with one sickle raised like this, that means he's going to do a kind of slam attack, which is a great opportunity to backstab him. You might kill him in one hit, but even if you don't, it should be easy to quickly deplete the last bit of his health. Nearby, there's another aggressive type butterfly, which is why I fought the Artificial Undead on the bridge. Anyway, from here we can go in two different directions. The path on the right is very linear and takes you to an optional boss, the Undead Chariot. That path is pretty difficult, especially if you're relatively early on in your playthrough, so we'll be going the other way first and then tackling that route at the end of the video. Here we've just got one patrolling enemy with a torch, but nothing really to note here. After you kill him, there are a few different directions you can go in from here. The first thing I'm going to do is go straight into this hut. There are two passive enemies here, one item to pick up, and there's an NPC called Bashful Ray that you can summon here. I personally find it fun to summon the NPCs, so I do kind of recommend summoning him. But anyway, the next thing we're going to do after exiting the hut is make a right so we can finish this dead-end path before continuing to progress in the area. Over here in this corner is another one of those big scary guys. It's not that easy to sneak up on him, so you may have to practice this a couple of times before you successfully sneak up on him and backstab him. The item he's guarding is an Aromatic Ooze. So this little area is like an arena because Forlorn will actually invade you here. But before she has time to spawn in, you should kill the aggressive butterfly that's here in the tree. As you can see, there's also an item to pick up, but you can just safely pick that up after you take the Forlorn out. If you fought this kind of invader before, then you should know what to expect from this fight, because they act pretty much the same every time. Sometimes they'll go into this blocking mode that you can punish with a guard break, and other than that, you can just backstab them or fight them regularly. Alright, so as you probably already know, every time you kill an invader, you'll automatically get a human effigy, so that's really nice. And now we're basically done with this little section, so we can pick up the moss that the butterfly dropped, and then the item that was waiting for us here, which is a life gem. So now I'm going to walk back the way we came and go past the hut we were just in. The section ahead of us is going to have a lot of those rogue enemies, but before going over there, we can look over the right side of this ledge, and you'll see that we can drop into this hut. This enemy here is waiting to jump up and ambush you, but we can just drop down to his level and ambush him. Be careful when dropping down into the hut, because there's a Cyan Knight here. This guy is very easy to backstab or parry, and after killing him, we can pick up these two items and open this chest, which contains a Sublime Bone Dust, which, as I'm sure you know, is extremely useful. After we finish all that, we can just go into this little cave, drop down, and then return to where we were before. You can't really see any enemies from here, so the section might look pretty empty, but that's because all the enemies are at least somewhat hidden. The first one you're going to take out is in this little secluded corner on the left. Obviously he's waiting to ambush you, so it would be best to sneak up on him instead. On our left is another hut. Now, there's actually another rogue standing on top of this hut, but I kind of forgot about him, so we'll see him sneak up on me later. For now, though, we can take out these two enemies that are straight ahead of us. After that, head into the hut, take out this docile enemy, and then pull this lever, which will lower the bridge so that we can continue to make progress. So here's a nice view of the bridge that's slowly lowering right now, and if you look to the right, we'll see that as I approach, a little hollow starts running away. That is one of the running hollows. I'll talk more about him in a second, but first you'll see that the enemy I mentioned before is now sneaking up on me. Alright, so of course now we're supposed to head this way, but we're going to kill the running hollow first, and there's also a hidden butterfly to kill here. Running hollows are very rare. There's only 2 of them in the game, and basically how they work is that they have points they like to stand at, and if you get too close to them, then they will run to the next point, and so on in a continuous loop. The incentive to kill these guys is that they always drop really good items. Anyway, here's the butterfly that I mentioned. After shooting him, we can find the item he dropped near the bridge we just lowered. It's a Radiant Lifegem. And now that we are truly done with that part of the level, we can finally cross the bridge. Here we will find a hut with a bonfire in it, but the door is locked for now. Other than that, there's a short bridge on the left, or an entrance to another cave on the right. The cave is basically a dead end for now, so that's why we'll head in there first. In this room, there are some pots and 1 skeleton. The pot with the face on it will gradually curse you if you're close enough to it, so break that as soon as possible. You can also kill the skeleton, but there's a necromancer nearby that will keep reviving him. In the next room, we've got a few more skeletons, 1 more cursed pot, and a necromancer. The safest thing to do would be to kill the skeletons and then fight the necromancer while they're getting revived. But I kind of just rushed the necromancer. Now that he's dead, we can take out the skeletons for good. Progressing further into the cave, you'll find a gate. It can only be opened from the other side, so for now we'll head back the way we came. There is an alternate exit to the cave right here, but I don't recommend you go out that way, and I'll show you where it leads relatively soon. Anyway, now that we cleared out all the enemies, we can pick up this item on the way out. Now we're going to cross this small bridge. Right here is a rogue. Then around the corner is another rogue. And then further ahead in a little alcove, there are 2 more rogues, along with a running hollow that will of course run away as soon as you get there. Moving a little bit forward, we can see that the path forks in 2 directions. And by the way, right here is the alternate exit to the cave I pointed out. The running hollow is actually waiting right now in that cave, so just run back this way and take him out. If he evades you, don't worry, you should be able to easily find him again since he just runs in a loop along the path we were just on, basically just running in a circle through this cave over and over. Returning back to the fork in the road, we will go to the left first. An NPC will invade you here, and as you can see, there's an aggressive butterfly in that tree ahead of us, and an item on the ground. This invader is extremely easy to backstab, so you shouldn't have too much trouble fighting her. This item here is the key to the locked hut we saw earlier. So now we'll be able to unlock that bonfire. You could return the way we came, but I recommend dropping down this way so you can pick up the moss that the butterfly dropped, and the other item that's here as well. Once you drop down again, there will be some rogues to take out. This encounter shouldn't be too much of a problem. Just be careful not to roll off the ledge here, because this path is pretty narrow. Inside the hut are some more enemies and 2 flame butterflies to pick up. Speaking of butterflies, now that we cleared all of those enemies, we can easily take out the last 2 passive butterflies in this area. Before that though, I'm just going to run back and unlock the bonfire. It's okay to light it, but of course don't rest at it right now if you don't want all the enemies to respawn. Anyway, there's an NPC here, Crayon. Talk to him if you want to advance his questline. You can also learn a gesture from him as well. Alright, so now I'll show you where the butterflies are. Head back to the fork, go left, and look up here. Run down this way to pick up the item. We haven't been here yet, but there is just one more rogue here. There's also a necromancer that can shoot you from here. You can see his spell following me right here, but you should be able to just run past no problem. Underneath this waterfall is a boss room we can enter on the left, and if you continue a little bit forward, you can find the backside entrance to the cave we were in before, and the final butterfly is right up here. Now heading into the cave, we'll find a similar encounter to the one from before, a bunch of skeletons and a necromancer reviving them. You probably don't want to rush the necromancer in this case because his starting position is right next to a ledge, so you might accidentally push him off, which won't be good if he happens to drop an item when he dies. And you can easily fall off the ledge yourself or end up being cornered by the skeletons. Anyway, here we can pick up the Combustion Pyromancy and 3 Titanite Shards. Returning to the previous room, I lit my torch so I could see a little bit better, but you don't have to do that. Right here we can jump to this isolated platform to pick up some arrows and a human effigy. Carefully jump across again, and we can head into this hallway where there's a crystal lizard and a skeleton. By this point in the game, you probably already know that the crystal lizards can be pretty hard to hit sometimes, depending on what weapon you have. In this case, I easily killed him with a jumping attack, but you could also use a spell or some other ranged attack here. If you spoke to Creighton, then you should be able to see a summon sign right here, so that's pretty cool. And the last item to collect here is an Estus Flask Shard. Pulling this lever will raise the gate, making this cave a really convenient shortcut that you can use to run to the boss from the bonfire that's in that little hut. Speaking of the boss here is the Skeleton Lords. When the fight starts, there will be 3 large skeletons, each with different attacks. Each time you kill one, that will cause a bunch of regular skeleton enemies to spawn. They all share the boss health bar, so you'll need to kill every skeleton to win. This fight might seem intimidating, especially since some of the summoned skeletons are bone wheel skeletons, but all of these guys are pretty weak, and there are plenty of pillars to hide behind when you want to heal or just get some distance between yourself and the enemies. You could strategically keep the number of enemies down by killing one of the large skeletons at a time, but I honestly find this boss pretty easy, so I just kill all the large skeletons as fast as possible, and then just fight the huge horde of skeletons all at once. Once you defeat the last skeleton, the boss fight is over, and you'll get the soul of the Skeleton Lords. As you may have noticed, the enemies in this fight can drop items. In my case, they dropped 4 human effigies. Now we can move on to the next area, which is called Harvest Valley, by heading this way, pulling this lever, and then crossing this bridge. You can do that if you want to, but we're not done with Huntsman's Copse yet. We still have the optional side path and the optional boss to complete. So if you remember from earlier in the video, the path we didn't go down yet is right here, pretty close to the second bonfire. Once you cross this small bridge, both an Executioner and a Hollow will notice you. The main guy to focus on is the Executioner. The Hollow isn't that important, but if you forget about the Hollow, he can sneak up on you, so just be aware of him. Anyway, these Executioners are pretty difficult, honestly. To me, they're probably the most difficult enemy type in the game. Anyway, one of the best ways to defeat this variant of the Executioner, which is the one with the pole type weapon, is to punish his 3-hit combo with a backstab. Once you're done with those 2, you can progress by walking up here. And we actually have to make a left turn here, But first we should tackle this little dead-end path since there's an item here. What I recommend you do is wait right around here for the patrolling executioner to notice you, and then back up and fight him. The reason for that is that there's a skeleton here that activates when you get close enough, so I don't recommend fighting both at once if you don't have to. Anyway, kill the skeleton as he wakes up, then collect this item. Alright, now this section is going to be pretty tough. Basically, there are a lot of executioners standing up above you, and they will jump down once they notice you. You could inch forward to activate one at a time like this, but I've found this to be very inconsistent, and sometimes they will all jump down at once, which you really do not want. So the best thing to do here would be to use a bow to get their attention one at a time. This guy happened to drop a cracked red eye orb. That is pretty cool that these guys can drop those because they're pretty limited in this game if you're playing on the first new game cycle. As you can see, some of the executioners have a whip instead of a pole. This variant isn't as tough as the one with the pole, but he is still tough, so be careful when fighting him. The next executioner is straight ahead right here. He noticed me before I shot an arrow, so I guess I walked too far forward. It looked like he noticed me when I was just standing still and aiming the bow though, so that was weird. The next one is over here to the right. And here's the last one. He'll jump down once you pass him. Now you can actually backstab this guy as soon as he lands, since he lands in the same place and facing the same way every time. But you'll have to be very precise to do this. Anyway, once he's dead, cross the bridge. There are two gaps to be aware of here. First, you'll want to stay to the right to avoid this gap. Then you'll want to stay to the left to avoid the second gap. The second gap does have a hollow hanging from it, so either hit him as he's hanging, or hit him as he's climbing up. There's one more hollow hanging off the side here on the right. If you didn't kill these guys, then they would sneak up on you from behind, so make sure to do that. And now, with all of that done, we will fight one of the toughest enemies in this area. This black phantom here is very dangerous. If you've tried fighting him before, then you know exactly what I mean. Like many other invader-like enemies, you will sometimes block with the shield, so you can punish this by breaking his guard and then riposting him. In this case, as you can see, I did break his guard, but I missed the riposte. I think that's because I attacked too early, so if I waited a little bit more and then attacked, I would have riposted him. But anyway, as you can see, I did backstab him many times, and that's because the weapon he's using is called the Greatsword, and I've basically played the game using that weapon for hundreds of hours, so I know exactly how it works, so I can really punish him when he attacks. With that guy dead, we can now safely jump across this gap to pick up this item, which is a fire seed. Alright, now we can fight the boss, but as I mentioned, this entire route was very, very difficult, so I want to show you how to run through this route, just in case you die to the boss and have to run back to it. I only recommend running through like this if you defeated that red phantom, and picked up all the items, and just want to quickly get to the boss. Anyway, the best way I found to do this is to become very light by either taking off all your armor, or putting on lighter armor. Then just pretty much run through the beginning section. There's not much of a problem there. You should be pretty okay until you reach this point. This is the most dangerous point. You're gonna have to dodge some attacks right here, but if you manage to get onto the bridge and make sure to dodge the two gaps that I mentioned before, then you should be pretty okay. When you reach this point, jump as quickly, but also as safely as possible, onto the ledge where we picked up the fire seed. Once you're here, you're pretty much perfectly safe because none of the executioners can hit you from here. And also, many of the executioners will just run away and de-aggro, while other ones just fall off the bridge, which is really good because you'll get the souls from them. In this case here, one guy is lingering in front of me and won't really go away, so I just took out the bow and headshotted him in order to push him off the bridge. Alright, now let's finally tackle the boss here. This boss, the Executioner's Chariot, is not easy, but it is one of my favorite bosses in the game. Your strategy for this fight should be to constantly advance forward while incapacitating the many skeletons that are here, and also dodging the boss, which constantly travels in a circle. There are 2 necromancers in this room, so the skeletons will constantly revive until you kill them. You can roll through the spike that's on the side of the chariot, but the best way to avoid getting hit by it is to hide in one of these side pockets. Also, keep in mind that the boss can hurt the other enemies, so you can use that to your advantage. The first necromancer is on the left side, so be sure not to miss him. Alright, now that he's dead, that makes things a lot easier, but of course there is still the second necromancer to take out. This right here is an extremely bad situation that I got myself in, but this time I did roll correctly and dodged through the spike. And right here is the second necromancer, so take him out. And now we are almost done with the first phase of the boss fight. When it's safe to do so, you'll want to pull this lever, which will bring down a gate that the boss will run into, causing him to go into his second phase, where he will fight you directly rather than keep running in a circle. Honestly, the hardest part of the boss fight is done, but this part of the fight isn't super easy or anything like that, so it's not over yet. This 2-headed horse doesn't really have that much of a varied moveset. He tends to do the same couple of attacks again and again. Basically, you can pretty much just circle strafe him and punish his attacks as you would any other enemy. Alright, now that he's dead, we could climb up the nearby staircase, but first I'm just going to pick up all the items here that were in this room. So returning back from where we just were, we can climb up the staircase, which leads to a dead-end room. If you turn around right here and follow this path, like this, you can find a very hidden item, 2 cracked red-eye orbs. Over here is a bonfire, and we'll also find the main thing in this room, which is this little guy, Gren.
What is it?
He is the Covenant leader of the Brotherhood of Blood. If you want to join, you'll have to at least have 1 token of spite in your inventory. You can get these through invasions, but there is one you can also pick up on the way to the gutter, if you're playing offline. Once you've joined by answering yes to all of his questions, you'll be able to access his shop. If you've already defeated the Skeleton Lords, then this set will be available, and if you've opened the Shrine of Winter, then the Executioner set will be available too. Also, in the first New Game cycle, he will only have 10 cracked red-eye orbs available, but in New Game Plus and beyond, he will sell an infinite amount. These are the rewards for ranking up in the Covenant. The rank 3 rewards are pretty useful, because Great Chaos Fireball is a good pyromancy, and these armor pieces increase your soul gain, similar to the Seldora set. But usually what I just do is kill him to get 1 piece of the set, and then buy the other one from Malentia. Okay, so that was my walkthrough for Huntsman's Copse. I hope you found it useful. Feel free to ask any questions, and thank you very much for watching.